I was trying to find, Chris, a couple Texas-related takeaways from the Super Bowl. And when you look at what cost the 49ers that game last night, it's to me why Jeff Banks is worth every single penny that Texas is paying him. You get to the elite, if you want to cross over that level from being a great team to a championship team, you better be buttoned up on special teams, because that's really the one. The more I think about it, man, I'm like, dude, turnovers and kicking game. Like, one, you really can't see happening, but the other one, dude, that cost Kyle Shanahan's going to probably went to bed at some point very, very early this morning thinking, dude, special teams, somebody that couldn't hear a Peter call and a blocked extra point cost me a world championship.
100%. And, Texas is transitioning into the SEC, where they are not always going to be the most talented team on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, you can lose the special teams battle and still beat Iowa State or TCU. You can't lose the special teams battle and beat Ole Miss I mean, you can occasionally, but not on a regular basis. You're not going to beat LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, unless you're just buttoned up and ready to go on special teams.
Yeah. And again, for those that don't know, Chris is an Oklahoma fan, but Chris did cover Texas. So I've been in Chris's ear for the last, 25 years about all things Texas football. But dude, it seemed like I can't say that was the Achilles heel under Lincoln Riley, because we don't have enough time to get into why Lincoln Riley didn't win more than conference championships. But dude, is it like, how was it frustrating for you knowing that like some of those Bob Stoops teams, like their one Achilles heel was, it always seemed to be special teams, and dude, like they had good kickers, they had good punters, they had the athletes to be great in the return game, but it's like you go back to that 08 loss against Texas, it's like a bad fake punt call and you like failed to get a hand on Jordan Shipley on a kickoff return. That pretty much did you in.
Well, I mean, the Shipley kickoff return in that game, I wasn't even in the stadium at the time, but you could just feel it. That changed the game.
Yeah. That was kind of like how I felt with this year's game. Cause dude, you and I have both been in there in that stadium for that game. And I'm telling you, man, watching it on TV doesn't do it justice. Like, you've got to be in the stadium to feel it. And usually when the underdog pulls an upset, they usually need that one thing to go right for them early on. And when Oklahoma got that interception off of Quinn Ewers on, was that the second play from scrimmage? That was that shot in the arm. OU needed to be like, oh yeah, okay, we can go do this. And that's when you're like, dude, this is going to be a game today.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a game. Even though we had lunch a couple days before that, and I was puffing my chest out something fierce, because I had like the Case McCoy irrational confidence about me that Texas was going to win that game.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was kind of a quiet confidence that I expected it to be I expected it to be closer than most people did. But, it was still on paper. Your confidence made more sense.
Yeah, dude, the Texas fans watching this, though, you'll be happy to know that all Chris told me after 49-0 was, you got your 63-14. Congratulations. I just wanted to know what one of those felt like. The Mac's last game against Bob Stoops was another one like that, where it's like, yeah, okay. Dude, I had to watch 65-13, the 03 game. I had to watch that at Chris's house with his family, so I'm surrounded by OU fans, and that was a pretty miserable experience. So I've had plenty of miserable Texas OU experiences. So
you were also at the Duke's household for 05 though. So you got your revenge.
I fell through your porch that day.
He did.
I did. I woke up the next day, dude, why do my ribs hurt? And Chris had to remind me why my ribs hurt so bad. It's like, dude, you fell through a porch yesterday. Yeah, took a tumble there, bud.
It was, early 20s, Chris and Jeff party hangouts were hazy to remember.
Yeah. So that's really one of my first big takeaway, the Texas related takeaway. And I think with the way Texas is recruiting now, you've got the kind of athletes from a size speed ratio that you should have the best coverage units in the country. I don't think there's any question. You should be in that discussion. And honestly, with the type of guys you're getting both in the portal and from high school recruiting, you should have the best return units in the country. And I do kind of worry about them, having a true freshman punter. But again, nobody's better at dialing up protections and things like that than Jeff Banks. He's the best special teams coach in the country. And again, worth every penny they're paying him. So and that's one thing. Like, dude, even Sark's first year, even the 5 and 7 year, dude, they were really good on special teams that year.
You know, I heard an interesting tidbit on a college football podcast the other day. I don't even remember which head coach they had on, but they were talking about kind of the decline in special teams in general across college football, and how it's kind of related to the transfer portal and the fact that you've got to try to get guys involved, like guys that maybe should be sitting and redshirting, that are in there playing that maybe aren't ready, and I mean that could be kind of hurting special teams. But Texas hasn't seemed to have that problem over the last couple of years.
No, man, like I said, dude, even the 5 and 7 year, like, and that was one where I'm like, okay, Cameron Dicker's gonna kick field goals and he's gonna punt, and dude, I mean, he's a Pro Bowl caliber kicker now, and dude, Cameron Dicker was a better punter his senior year at Texas than he was a kicker.
By the way, I see in the chat that Monkeygate is a thing, which that makes me pretty happy. I didn't know that's what it was being called.
I've decided that's kind of Richard Nixon's ultimate. Like Nixon, you can look at anything he did in his presidency, but that's Nixon's ultimate contribution to society. Is now every controversial thing we have to call it gate. Like at the Horn, we had the infamous Deuce Gate, where somebody let their dog loose in the studio, and he left.
I think I heard part of that.
The dog ended up leaving a big stink pickle, and like,
did you have to call the Hardley boys to come in and investigate?
There were no raging clues in the building. But the worst part was Bucky was in there all morning and apparently never smelled it, and like did his workout with a dog turd like inches from him. The minute I walked in there that day, I'm like, dude, it smells like somebody took a dump in here. And I'm asking Craig during breaks, I'm like, dude, did somebody puke in the trash can? Like, it smells horrible. I tell Trey and BK, like, I don't know where it is, but something smells terrible. And they found the suspicious turd in the corner.
The offender, if you will.
So, and thus we have Deucegate. So special teams was one Texas related thing I wanted to talk about. The other thing was, there's that old adage, Chris, and it's true, man. You run the ball. If you can run the ball well, you can stop the run, control the line of scrimmage, you win games. Dude, I think last night showed you, because neither team really had sustained success running the ball. San Francisco got a couple more chunk yardage plays on the ground, but dude, both those teams, it was a struggle to run the football. To me, line of scrimmage now, dude, it's all about disruptors and protectors. That's pretty much where it is. And if you look at Texas, the protector thing, dude, you know me, I've been complaining about Texas offensive line play it's 2024 now. Probably the better part of the last 20 years, I've been complaining about Texas offensive line play. They've got that figured out now. Like with the bodies that Kyle Flood's recruited, they've got it figured out. They're on the right track to being able to where you can consistently count on the bar for the Texas offensive line being at a certain level where, like, okay, they're at least going to be serviceable. And probably
maybe the ceiling hasn't raised to where you want it, but the floor is up to a point where you're not worried about it being a liability.
Like I said, there's some years where you're thinking about if somebody in the starting five is going to lose their job. Dude, that's where you're at now. There's been years where I'm like, dude, can Texas find 5 guys with a pulse that can form an offensive line that at least won't get your quarterback murdered? That's kind of where I've been with the Texas offensive line in some years. I'm not there now. The disruptors is where I think Texas needs to take the next step. And you look at the kind of guys that they recruit. And dude, trust me, I have got no complaints with what Texas got last year from Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. Like Texas stopped the run at a ridiculous level. And I think part of the reason why Texas, you look at the pass defense numbers, why they were what they were, part of that goes back to who in their right mind was going to try to run the ball against Texas. I mean, other than Oklahoma going to, and I credit Jeff Lebby for going into the bag and being like, look, we got nothing else. We're going to just run quarterback draws, or tell Dylan Gabriel, like, dude, if you see grass, don't go through your progressions. Just tuck it and run. Just go find grass. And that's really the only time Texas has, quote unquote, struggled to stop the run last year. Nobody just lined up and consistently pounded the ball right at Texas.
Well, yeah, they've got 2 first-round draft hits in the middle.
And it's like, it was a mystery to people until Dana Holgerson was finally the one that was like, because somebody asked him why they didn't run Donovan Smith on more quarterback sneaks. And he just came out and says, like, Texas had the 2 best tackles in the country. He's like, I'd be an idiot if I ran Donovan Smith right at them. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Like Dana Holgerson channeling as David Davidson, but nah, it's about disruptors, and that to me was the difference with Texas in the Sugar Bowl is they didn't have enough disruptors. They had one in Byron Murphy, and Sweat could do it, but you're going to run up against opponents where you're going to need disruptors kind of at all levels of your defense. And honestly, man, the one thing that I think the Chiefs should be grateful for, other than this 49ers special teams era, if Drake Greenlaw doesn't get hurt, that might be a different game. If he doesn't hurt his Achilles running onto the field for a possession, like that might be a different game.
Well, and if Bosa could take a better angle to the quarterback, I saw him run himself out of the play like so many times last night.
But they can.
I mean, I know some of that's Mahomes too, being so athletic, but
no, my point was, dude, they can come. The 49ers can come at you in waves where I'm like, dude, if you okay, Nick Bosa needs to take a breath. Who's going to come in for him? Oh, you got your choice between Chase Young and Randy Gregory. Like, dude, if you're like Randy Gregory's not the guy he was with the Cowboys a few years ago, but if you're telling Randy Gregory, like, dude, we just need like 10 to 12 good snaps out of you, just full speed snaps, dude, Randy Gregory can still be an effective pass rusher. And that's like for the Chiefs to get as much pressure as they got on Brock Purdy without Amenahu, who's one of their better pass rushers without Chuck Amenahu. And dude, there was that one play where Purdy had, I think it was, they settled for a field goal. Purdy has Ayuk open, like on a little switch route. And if Chris Jones doesn't just get like a shoulder and an arm up at the last minute, it's probably a touchdown. So, dude, it's all about protectors and disruptors. And both teams had them. Just the Chiefs disruptors did a little bit better job at, the quarterback. But then that's the other thing, Chris, that is the difference to me. Can your quarterback elevate you? And that's the step, I did a Q&A with Kevin Flaherty a couple of weeks ago for the 24/7 national site, and it was like, what's the expectations for Quinn Ewers? And that's it to me. It's what Mahomes did more of than Brock Purdy did last night. Can you elevate everybody around you? Like in the clutch, can all 10 guys in a sideline huddle look at you and be like, I don't know how he's going to do it, I don't know when he's going to do it, but this guy's going to make a play that's going to win us this game right now. That's where Quinn Ewers needs to get to. That's the level of going from good to great and then great to elite. That's what makes Patrick Mahomes elite, is everybody not only believes it, but they know it's coming.
Like the infamous Joe Montana, John Candy story. Like, I mean, everybody just kind of understands like, oh, this guy's locked in.
It's like, it's like you ask Casey Stutter or any of those guys that played with Vince Young, like they knew that, and anybody on that defense, like we knew if we got to stop, we're beating USC. Because if number 10's got the ball with any amount of time to do something, he's going to go win the game.